As with every wellness trend, there is always some kind of misconceptions out there. It has become exceedingly clear in the past couple years just how important nervous system regulation is for healing, for stress management, and trauma recovery. But are you doing it correctly? Because there are 3 popular misconceptions that I see out there that actually keeps us stuck in dysregulation longer, because we're not actually understanding what it means to regulate our nervous system. And so today in this video, I'm going to cover those 3 misconceptions and hopefully set you on the right path so that you can make the most of this amazing science that will truly change your life. If you're someone who wants to become a better lover, you want to feel more connected in your relationships, or you want to heal, from trauma and painful experiences, or better manage your stress, learning how to regulate your nervous system is at the core of all of that. Living with a chronically dysregulated nervous system is putting you at risk, both emotionally in terms of not being able to respond rather than react, and it's also putting you at risk physically. It leads to sleep disorders, chronic illness, increased blood pressure, inability to manage blood sugar well. This is one of the most important things to understand and integrate and know how to navigate when it comes to healing and making sure that you're taking care of your overall well-being. So welcome back. I'm Unique Val. I'm a certified trauma-informed intimacy coach and a spiritual guide. I'm here to help you experience soul deep love and access your deeper self. And that really starts with learning how to masterfully navigate your nervous system so that you have a larger window of tolerance, meaning you're able to manage the stressors in your life much better. And that requires learning how to navigate your nervous system masterfully. None of us got a roadmap on how to do this. Even with a safe and supportive upbringing and caregivers that loved you and nurtured you, you may still be lacking those finer skills to navigate your nervous system and actually support your dreams and your desires and your loves with a healthy nervous system that will help you get there. It all comes back to being able to regulate your nervous system. All right, so let's jump on in. So the first misconception that I see around nervous system regulation is one that I feel like is very common in the spiritual community, which obviously I'm a part of. It's this idea, both the spiritual and mindfulness community, certain sects of these community, because it's this idea that regulating your nervous system means that you're calm all of the time. It's getting to a place where you are just zen and you are mellow and you're just able to maintain the state of calm all the time because you are a superior being and you know how to regulate and stay regulated, and it's just very dangerous. It's a very dangerous idea because it actually can push you into states of dysregulation. This is really funny and fresh for me this week because I came across a coach on TikTok and I was really jiving. This was my first time encountering this person and I was really jiving with their message. So I was just going through their videos and I came across a video where she says, don't let all this nervous system regulation stuff make you sedated or numb, because anytime you reach for your dreams or whatever, it's going to, be activating or it's going to introduce stress. And I immediately was like, red flag. I love you, but that is not what it means to regulate your nervous system. She's working with this idea that having a regulated nervous system means that you're just calm all the time, or you've eliminated all of these sources of stress from your life, and you've just kind of reduced your life down so that you never encounter anything challenging or stressful, anything that's going to activate you in any way and push you beyond your limits. And this is a wrong. This is wrong. This is not what it means to regulate your nervous system. And that is because stress is good. Some stress is good. Your nervous system actually grows and expands and thrives. Your body actually does need some some amounts of stress, and it's a healthy and good thing. So things like exercising, sex will bring you into the sympathetic or stress response so that your nervous system is able to experience that and navigate those experiences well. We know that naturally running, physical activities, or even certain new social experiences, they do make our blood pressure rise, right? Our body becomes a little activated. But when you have a regulated nervous system and you know how to regulate your nervous system, going into these stress states doesn't overwhelm your nervous system because your window of tolerance is such that you are able to safely engage with this certain amount of stress without overwhelming your system and pushing yourself into something like shutdown. And that is one of the main goals of nervous system regulation. It's actually expanding that window of tolerance, how well your nervous system is able to handle stressors. Once that window of tolerance, that means you're able to tolerate a little bit more. If it's wider, that means that you're able to enjoy more activities, take on a little bit more at work, right? Try new things, maybe go on a date, go on things that are going to stretch you without shooting yourself into a highly activated state or a sympathetic stress response, or launching yourself into shutdown, right? Activating the freeze response. And so one of the main goals in regulating your nervous system is expanding that window of tolerance. And so it's not about staying calm all the time or just being flat and never allowing yourself to feel any emotions outside of peace, right? It's actually being able to allow those emotions to flow and actually, feel them feel them and experience them, and also have the tools to bring yourself back into peace, right? So it's not about maintaining that center of peace nonstop, every day, every second, otherwise you're a failure. That's not what it is. And that mindset, thinking that it is really dangerous. So if we just cover the first goal of nervous system regulation is being able to expand that window of tolerance. If you're someone who is a trauma survivor, if you still have unprocessed trauma, you have triggers that activate you into a rigid response, then your window of tolerance is likely pretty narrow. And you'll feel this. You'll actually feel this in your nervous system and in how you navigate life. It'll feel like almost like you have to have these guardrails up and really close and tight to your body. Otherwise, you just won't be able to handle it. And as a fellow trauma survivor, I totally understand the struggle. And it can be really tricky in learning where we are being proactive and we're managing our stressors. We're making sure we're not unnecessarily stressing ourselves, right? It can be very difficult to identify where that line is versus actually my window of tolerance is just so small right now. I can't even bring myself to whatever that is, send that email, submit that application, talk to that friend, or go on that date. I can't even bring myself to do that because I'm at my limit. I'm at my limit. And so this is so important for trauma healing, because without that ability to regulate your nervous system, that means the deeper healing work is actually limited by the current state of your nervous system, by your current state of dysregulation. Because if you're already dysregulated, naturally processing any trauma, it's a little stressful, right? It's actually a naturally dysregulating thing. Processing your trauma is naturally dysregulating. So if you're already starting out from a place of dysregulation, you don't have much room, nervous system wise. You don't have much room there to process without shooting yourself into overwhelm, right? And you'll always hit a wall. And so when you learn to regulate your nervous system first, that means the deeper healing work can actually be done. And that's why you can actually be doing all the right things. You can be going to therapy. You could be trying meditation. You could be doing everything correct, and still feel like you're not getting very far. So if you're someone who is in therapy currently and you don't feel like it's making a difference, and in fact it feels like you're actually getting worse, this might actually be why. And I see this a lot in my coaching practice, especially this year. And I know that this year has been very dysregulating and traumatizing for a lot of us, right? It feels like so much is out of our control. But I've worked with people this year, especially where they're like, oh my gosh, I've been, I've tried everything for years and years, for decades, or I've been in therapy, and this simple tool of learning how to feel safe on the inside, regulate my nervous system, restore that sense of somatic safety. I didn't learn it. I didn't learn it in therapy. And it makes such a difference. It is a difference between healing and just cycling around the wound and never being able to actually heal and process it, because you're just constantly hitting that wall, which is the limitation of how deep your nervous system can go right now and how much you can sustainably process in this moment and safely process without re-traumatizing yourself. And so if you're feeling like you are hitting a wall in therapy, if you've tried so many different techniques and it's not working, or when you go to the session you feel good, right? You're co-regulating with the therapist, they're doing a great job of helping you in that way, but you notice once you leave the session you don't have any tools, you don't have the tools to do it for yourself. This is a sign that you need effective nervous system regulation tools and vagus nerve exercises so that you can do it for yourself. It will make those sessions go way better. You'll actually start to see yourself progress on your healing journey instead of feeling like you are just kind of cycling through the same cycle year after year, or unfortunately feeling like your symptoms are getting worse. Okay, so that's the first goal, expanding that window of tolerance so that you can handle more of what life brings you and actually go after your dreams and your desires, right? Your inspiration, follow your inspiration instead of getting stuck in fear or in a freeze response. Actually have the capacity, the space within your nervous system to do more, to actually deepen your relationships and also deepen your trauma healing. That's the first goal. The second goal is having tools that allow you to down regulate from a activated state. This is a sympathetic state, and sympathetic simply refers to the sympathetic nervous system. This is one of the two nervous system responses to stress. So the first is activation. It's the state of mobilization, which means our body is gearing up to escape our stressor. And when it comes to our modern life, right, we can't just run when it comes to our light bill or our credit card debt. Running, it's not going to do it. But this is what our nervous system has evolved to do. When we are faced with a stressor, we either mobilize, so get activated, and that activates a sequence of events within the body to help you to run and get away from the stressor faster. So you'll want to, instead of sending blood and oxygen to your digestive tract, you want to send those to the outer limbs, right? So that we can really run and get away. But clearly, we don't want to be in that state for forever. We still want to be able to digest our food and get enough sleep without cortisol keeping us up and racing thoughts, just feeling like you want to keep moving around in a mobilized state. It's not healthy to stay in a dysregulated state for long. And this is why chronic states of dysregulation actually lead to chronic illness. It leads to inflammation. It leads to digestive issues, right? Because all of these key processes are being put on the back burner. So all these life-sustaining processes, they're being put on the back burner, and our body is still in this state where it thinks it needs to escape a proverbial lion, which it can't for the stressors that we face in our modern life. And so nervous system regulation means that you're going to be able to down-regulate from that activated state, or the second stress response, which is shut down. This is the dorsal vagal state. So this is where we are like, you know what? I am not going to escape this. There is nothing I can do to escape this threat. You'll feel that your body is starting to conserve energy. You'll feel numb. You'll notice that you're not able to feel the sensations in your body as much because you are literally like, okay, I'm going to just decrease the pain so that it's not going to be a painful end. And so in this state, you want to learn how to upregulate. So move your nervous system back into a state of regulation and bring energy back into your system. You can think of the dorsal state as the red zone, and the activated mobilized state as the yellow zone, and the regulated state as the green zone. And so your goal is to have the tools to bring yourself back into the green. And so as you can see, regulating your nervous system isn't about being calm. It's not about ignoring the stressors of life. There's so much that we seriously can't control. There's going to be unexpected events that cause you to go into an activated state or even bring you into shutdown. You want to learn how to navigate your personal nervous system with tools that work specifically for you. So that's going to require trial and error, and it's going to require having a large library of practices, a large library of resources and tools to pull on to say, okay, let me learn what's going to work for me. The idea that regulating your nervous system means that you're staying calm all the time doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And it actually can be a very dangerous place to be mentally. It actually can lead to more dysregulation, because if you are stuffing down your feelings and you're telling yourself, I can't feel anxiety, I can't feel stress, whatever, I'm going to bring myself into a dysregulated state, what are you doing? You are dissociating. And when you dissociate long enough, you actually reinforce the dysregulation and you make it harder to break free, because you're not going to have the level of interoception needed, which means the ability to sense what is going on in your body, to sense how you're feeling, to sense your emotions. You're not going to have that skill needed to actually tell which state you're in. If you're experiencing shutdown or you're experiencing activation, you're not going to be connected to your body enough to even gauge that. And so it's going to make it harder for you to even learn how to regulate your nervous system. But it doesn't mean that if you are dissociated right now, that there aren't tools to help get you there. In fact, at the end of this video, I have an opportunity for you to come and join my vagus nerve reset program. And so we're going to start from square one, just learning how to reconnect with your emotions and what you're feeling, and then building from there those tools to help you actually regulate your nervous system, because it's not about staying calm. It's not about pushing down your feelings or pretending to be zen all the time. That is dissociation, and it actually will make things worse instead of better. Regulating your nervous system is also not eliminating all the stress in your life, and it's also not forcing yourself through, right? Piling on more stress because that's what you need to do to be excellent and great and deserving. No. Shaming yourself into pushing your nervous system beyond what it is able to handle right now will only reinforce dysregulation and keep you stuck longer. If you have a small window of tolerance right now, there is no shame in that. There is no shame in recognizing that I've had some really bad experiences in life, and that means right now there's only so much I can handle. I have to go slow. I have to go gently. I have to be loving with myself, right? And so if we are telling ourselves, in order to be great, in order to blah, 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 achieve some vision, I need to push myself further. I need to, I can't be weak. I can't be sedated. I need to go out there and get it. Pushing ourselves too far is a surefire way to make that window of tolerance even tighter, to actually reinforce the tight window of tolerance and reinforce dysregulation. You want to start with where you are and build gradually from that and incrementally. And it starts slow at first, but it does pick up speed as your body starts to receive the message that you're safe. And it's actually possible to do more without overwhelming your nervous system, because your body does want to heal. Your body does want to heal. And we just need to be patient, give it the right tools instead of guilting or shaming ourselves because we're not able to handle more. Okay, so hopefully you see why trying to stay calm all the time is actually going to keep you in a state of dysregulation for longer. And it actually, honestly, if you're someone who's like, meditation, I can't even get myself to meditate, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why meditation isn't working for you. And there's a reason why things like breath work could actually bring you into a state of greater dysregulation. It can actually trigger your trauma responses instead of helping it to release from your body. And so learning about your nervous system, learning actually the stages of the stress response, what that actually means for your lived experience, you'll start to connect the dots of why things have not been working and why certain things do work. And so this is just foundational. It is so important. And this is why if you ever get coaching from me, you know that we start so basic. We just start with learning how to feel safe in your body again. This is the foundation to healing. It is the foundation to manifesting. It's the foundation to creating the life and love that you want. This is where you start. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed by the healing journey, you don't know where to start, or you've tried things in the past and you've kind of tried it without actually knowing what it's doing to your nervous system, or if it is the right time in your healing journey to apply that specific tool, then you'll want to join Soften and Replenish Vagus Nerve Reset program. I'm going to give you the education, the framework, the understanding to know which tools are going to work for you, and I'm going to teach you how to regulate your nervous system, and you'll start to see the difference not just in our work together, but in every other area of your life. You'll notice that you'll be able to take on those challenges at work with greater ease. You'll be able to meet your fitness goals because you're not trying to force yourself to go and exercise when you're in a dorsal vagal state and actually it doesn't feel good right now. You don't have the energy for that. And when you're shut down to that degree, stressing and shaming yourself will not help, right? It's only compounding the issue. You'll learn how to actually get out of that cortisol heavy state that is causing the belly fat to build up and be able to actually effectively manage your hormones, your stress response, so that your body is no longer holding on to fat and disturbing your sleep and making it more difficult to reach your health goals, which I know it's the new year and a lot of us can push off those health goals for January. Well, let's make sure that you have the tools to actually make them work. And I'm someone who for years, had a fitness goal and I had to change my mindset around it. I had to really recognize, the foundation of all of this is my nervous system. And once I mastered that, then I can learn how to actually implement diet changes and implement a new exercise regimen without actually sending myself into a stress response and making things worse. And I can actually use exercise effectively to help regulate my nervous system as well. So you're going to learn all of that in Soften and Replenish. But let's get into the second misconception that you may have or may have picked up on the internet webs, on the social media, because there are so many trendy videos right now on how to hack your nervous system, how to, hack nervous system regulation. There's so many quick fixes, quick ideas. And so the second misconception is that if you just do one of these nervous system hacks, if you just do one of these deep belly massages, if you just do one of these exercises, just do it a couple times or whenever you're stressed, that's enough. You've done it. Ta-da. You've regulated your nervous system. Again, this is wrong. Doing a few reps every few months, whenever you just happen to come across a exercise in your feed or a trauma-informed somatic yoga practice on YouTube, just doing this a few times a month or whenever you just come across it is not enough to regulate your nervous system. So this misconception is coming from this idea that it's just a one and done process, or if I just do it once in a while, that's all it is. And actually, we need to change our mindset around this. This is incorrect because you actually need repetition. Regulating your nervous system is similar to building muscle. You need repetition to build those muscles, and you need repetition to maintain those muscles. Albeit when you're first starting out, it's going to take a lot more intentional effort. It's going to be new. You're still learning which exercises work for you, what you prefer. Are you a runner, or do you prefer to play a sport, right? You're learning what your body likes and what feels good to you. And so similarly, with regulating your nervous system, you need that time to figure out which tools work for you and when, because the tools that work for you when you're in an activated state aren't necessarily the tools that are going to work for you when you're in shutdown. They might, or you might need to tweak them or change the intensity of them in order to see an effect. And so we both need to shift out of the idea that there's just one exercise that's going to shift things for forever and permanently get you into a regulated state. And we also need to shift the idea that regulation is a set state. Like you just do it, you're done, you're good. No, this is a lifetime practice, and it's something that requires repetition. It's something that you actually need to maintain and sustain over time. And so you want to build up regulation reps. You want to build up practice, learning how to practice proactive and reactive tools that you can use proactively, so meaning just preventatively to help you maintain nervous system regulation throughout your day, and also reactive tools that you can reach for when you are in a time of stress. You're already in a state of activation or shutdown, and you just need some tools now to help you downregulate or upregulate into the green zone. And so this is a daily practice. This is something that you're going to be doing every day. And the more that you do it, you're going to get better at it. And when you practice those reactive tools, they're going to be easier to reach for. It's kind of like those self-defense videos where you would never expect yourself to be able to reach for a self-defense mechanism that you've never practiced, that you've never tried. You're not going to be in mid-attack getting onto Instagram and trying to pull up that video and like, okay, how do I position my arm? How do I do this? Right? It's too late. By then it's too late, right? By then you're already in a stress response. You're likely not even the idea isn't even occurring to you because you haven't practiced it, and it's not something that you've trained your body to do whenever you notice yourself becoming activated or going into shutdown. And so the more that you actually practice outside of, a stressful event, the more easily you'll be able to reach for those tools. And similar to weight loss or gaining muscle, you want to repeat those reps in order to be able to see a difference over time. It's not a quick process. It's not a one and done. The more that you practice, the more that you actually train your nervous system to rest in a regulated state and notice when it's shifting out and make its journey back. That is something that we simply gain through practice. It's not something we gain automatically just because we did one workout session, right? We have to come back to the mat day after day. We have to commit to the long-term process of maintaining unregulated nervous system. This is a mindset shift that I had to make in my own fitness journey, is learning to prioritize building muscles, building my cardiovascular capacity. And these aren't things that I can necessarily, anyone else in my life is going to pick up on. If anything, I look bulkier for the first year. And it's only now at the end of the second year where people are like looking at me and going, wow, you're starting to look different, right? It's something that takes patience. It's something that takes practice. And the length of time that it will take for you will vary, right? So we don't want to compare our journey to everyone else because we're all starting at a different starting point. And so this is a misconception that, again, will keep you stuck if you're thinking that, oh, just doing one-off reps, just doing one-off vagal nerve exercises will do it. Again, this is something that we have to do repetitively. And so you want to build up a system. You want to make it so that it's so easy. It's so like and this requires starting small. You want to build up that new habit, and we want to start small so that it's so easy to get started and you're not feeling any shame or guilt about your new practice. When we start small in this way, it does become automatic over time. And so if you would like me to be your coach and help you on that journey, again, come into Soften and Replenish a Vagus Nerve Reset. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one so that we can go deeper, go ahead and apply for coaching at the link below. Because we really want to get to the point where you've got some proactive exercises that you're doing throughout your day, whether it's starting your day with 3 deep breaths, right? Or changing how you're sitting at your desk so that you're allowing that alignment of your diaphragm and your sitting bones, and you're able to take those deep, full breaths, right? All of these little shifts are actually going to strengthen your vagal tone. That's actually your vagus nerve's capacity to do its function, which if you're in a chronic dysregulated state, your vagus nerve is actually not functioning as well as it could be. It's not promoting both mental and physical well-being. And so how can we adjust your day-to-day routine and build in some exercises that help to regulate your nervous system and support vagal tone? The goal is to reshape your life slowly but surely, build in these new habits that promote regulation, and then also give you tools so that you know how to reactively regulate your nervous system. So how wonderful will that be, right? You'll have these moments already built into your day, these new habits that are going to stimulate your vagus nerve, that are going to promote regulation, and then you're going to have tools for recognizing when you are dysregulated and what you should do now. Perfect. So I want to gift you those tools. Come on into Soften and Replenish. The link will be below, but let's get into the third misconception. And the third misconception is that regulating your nervous system is just too complicated. And in fact, you don't even know how to tell if you are dysregulated. And so this is a mindset that I notice in those of us who have actually been chronically dysregulated, which means you've been in such a state of dysregulation for so long that you actually haven't been able to witness the difference. You actually haven't been able to see when you're moving out of regulation into dysregulation because you're kind of constantly in a dysregulated state. And so when we're in this state, of course, it feels overwhelming. Of course, the thought of working your way back to calm or peace or regulation feels foreign, and it feels actually tiring. Right? You can almost feel the heaviness in that and like trying to work up the energy to do that. It's also common that in this state, you've become so disconnected from your body that you don't even know what you feel. You actually find it difficult to identify your feelings and your emotions. And so, of course, it's going to be hard to even gauge when you're regulated or not. So, of course, it's going to be hard to even tell what's helping or what isn't. This is also really common for childhood trauma survivors like myself, because you didn't receive the tools in childhood to self-regulate, which actually you can't learn on your own. Newborns cannot self-regulate, which means all of us are depending on someone else to help us regulate when we're born. And so if we have a caregiver who is chronically dysregulated, who is not attuning to our needs, then guess what? We're not able to learn how to regulate our nervous systems. That baby you is dependent on a caregiver to soothe you when you cry, to help you return to the green zone, to help you return to a state of regulation. And so if you didn't have that nurturing as a child, it's natural that you simply don't have that connection to your nervous system. And the thought of even meeting your needs or allowing yourself to feel your feelings when you've lived a life where you were shamed for your feelings or you had to hide your feelings in order to prevent further abuse, if that is what you experienced, then of course the thought of even learning how to unravel all of that feels both unsafe, and it also feels overwhelming and kind of impossible. This is why working with a trauma-informed coach or therapist who is going to give you those foundational tools to connect with your emotions, connect with your body, to actually feel safe enough to do so is so important. It is not your fault that you didn't learn this in childhood. But now in adulthood, you can give yourself the support and invest in the care that you need. You can start to give your nervous system the nurturing, the attuning that you missed in childhood. These are the tools that actually are going to move you out of the stress response, move you out of survival mode, and actually turn on your evolved brain. That part of your brain that is actually evolved to make long-term plans, to actually create your life and manifest your dreams. That part of your brain is actually turned off when you are dysregulated. You lose access to that part of you when you are dysregulated. And so that's the part of your brain that you need to face our modern stressors, and being in a chronically dysregulated state prevents you from accessing that aspect of you. And so if you're feeling stuck in your life, it's likely not because you aren't doing enough or you're being intentionally irresponsible. No, it's simply because your nervous system is in a survival state. It's looking for the quick fixes. It's preventing you from taking the next steps towards your desires because it's trying to protect you and keep you safe, right? And so we want to actually learn these tools so that you can move beyond the survival response. Please do gift yourself this program. It's going to make such a world of a difference in your life. So come on in to Soften and Replenish. Registration is now open. So go ahead and tap the link below to come on into Soften and Replenish. This is going to make your life start to come alive again. So if you're someone who's been trying to stay calm and zen all the time, right, and pushing down or resisting your anxiety or your negative emotions or low vibrations, if you're someone who's been keeping that window of tolerance quite tight, you'll start to feel the color come back to your life. So if you've been struggling with dissociation, with numbness, with shutdown, even with the stress response, not sure how to even begin to process anxiety, then this is going to help you start to feel the feeling instead of freezing it in your nervous system. And I like to think of emotions like a stream. And so if we, for years and years and years, are blocking, we've got a boulder or a dam in that stream, then all those emotions just start to pile up and pile up and pile up. We may feel numb and like there's nothing going on inside, but that's far from the reality. There's actually a buildup of unprocessed emotions, and they just simply stay in our system. And that is part of why we can feel stuck in the same patterning and the same types of relationships for years and years and years, because we never allow ourselves to feel what's coming up, feel what our authentic truth is on the situation, and from there choose what we want to do about how we feel, because all of our emotions are information. It's actually pointing us to what we need to do to either help ourselves come back into a regulated state or make lifestyle changes that are going to promote our growth and expansion. And so this is such an important, yet it's one of the steps that we often miss. We want something more flashy, but I promise you this is where you start. If you don't know where to go, this is where you start. And what really sets Soften and Replenish apart from all the other vagus nerve programs, books that you'll read out there, is that I am actually a trained intimacy coach. And so I'm bringing in my 5+ years of working with Tantra and somatic healing techniques to truly soften and de-armor the body, the heart, the spirit. This is my dual vagal pleasure model for nervous system regulation, and that's what I'm sharing with you in Soften and Replenish. So yes, I'm bringing you these science-backed tools, but we're also blending that unique touch of conscious pleasure. The upcoming program is a 7-week live program. You'll receive 2 live sessions each week. The first is a live class, and the second is a live practice. In the live classes, you'll be learning the various functions of the vagus nerve and also those 3 nervous system states. We're going to go deeper into them. And we're also going to be covering how the vagus nerve may be impacted by your childhood and how it's showing up in your relationships today. And in that second session, that's where the magic really happens. I'll be leading you through a guided practice and teaching you tools and vagus nerve exercises and blending them with my conscious pleasure and deeper self teachings. You can review the full program schedule by tapping the link in the description below. There will be practice variations for all genders and sexual orientations. Go ahead and claim it down below. I hope to see you in Soften and Replenish. Again, registration is now open for round 2, and I am so excited for the bonus sessions. I hope to see you inside, and I'm so excited to see how these tools will shift how you approach your nervous system and your life, and also your New Year resolutions. Happy New Year, and I hope to see you inside. Oh, and if you like this video, as always, remember to hit like and subscribe. In the next video, I'll be covering how to recover your lost soul essence. You won't want to miss that. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in that video. Thanks for watching.